guys, it's Megan with Vigilante Vibes, and I have another character breakdown for you today. It is the last of my Fantastic Four family members breakdowns, and we are ending it on a strong note with Reed Richards, who will be played by Pedro Pascal in the Fantastic Four First Steps. I don't know about you guys, but I'm so sick of saying the name of it. Like, I'm excited for the movie, but I'm so sick of saying the name. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. So, Reed Richards, also known as Mr. Fantastic, first appeared in Fantastic Four #1, published in 1961. This comic book marks a debut of the entire Fantastic Four team, consisting of Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm. Reed Richards was a genius from an early age, impressing his parents with inventions that ended up making them filthy stupidly rich. Sadly, he lost his mom when he was still very young. By the time he was 14, he was already earning advanced degrees from multiple universities and dreaming big. His biggest goal was to design and launch a starship. His college buddy, Ben Grimm, even promised to pilot it one day, and he held him to that. While attending State University, Reed made two big connections. He won the heart of Sue Storm, the niece of his landlady, and earned the lifelong hatred of another student, Victor Von Doom. After college, Reed took a job in the U.S. military overseas, which ended up putting him in just the right place to turn his space flight dreams into a reality. But when the government pulled the plug on his Starship project, Reed decided to go rogue. He gathered Ben, Sue, and her younger brother Johnny for an unauthorized test flight. Unfortunately, he hadn't accounted for the cosmic ray exposure, and during their time in space, all four were bombarded by the mysterious radiation. After crash landing back on Earth, they discovered they'd all changed. Each of them developed unique superpowers. Realizing they could use their new abilities to help humanity, Reed brought the group together and founded the Fantastic Four. Thanks to the cosmic rays that changed him, Reed Richards can stretch, twist, and reshape his body into all sorts of ways. He can stretch into incredible lengths, flatten himself paper thin, or compact his body to become super dense. Like when he turns his fists into battering rams. He's even used his body as a containment shield for explosions and occasionally reshaping his face to disguise himself as someone else. But all that flexibility comes with a cost. The more extreme the stretch, the more it physically wears him out. On top of the powers, Reed is one of the smartest people on the planet, if not the smartest. He has an IQ of 267 and has a staggering 18 doctorates. He's mastered pretty much every scientific field there is, including some that aren't even from Earth. His go-to areas are things like robotics, aviation, and quantum physics, and he holds thousands of patents for his inventions. One of his most famous breakthroughs is the unstable molecules, which are used in the Fantastic Four's costumes. These special fabrics adapt to each member's unique powers, making it impossible for them to do what they do without wrecking their gear. Reed Richards might come off as distant or overly focused on his work, but at the end of the day, nothing matters more to him than his family. He helped shape the Fantastic Four into not just a superhero team, but a real functioning family, one of the best examples out there. Sue Storm is his rock, his partner in everything and the love of his life. Their marriage has had its ups and downs over the years, but they always find their way back to what truly matters: their kids, their team, their mission. Reed tends to get lost in his work and can forget about the small everyday stuff, but Sue understands how his mind works and does what it takes to keep their family grounded. Ben Grimm is Reed's oldest and closest friend, though Reed still carries guilt over Ben's transformation into the Thing. Despite their differences, Reed's all brains, Ben is all heart. They've got a strong bond, and Ben always has Reed's back. As for Johnny Storm, Reed's relationship with his brother-in-law can get a bit fiery, literally and figuratively, but their connection through Sue and the kids keep things solid. At their core, the Fantastic Four operate more like a family than a typical superhero team. Reed absolutely loves his kids, Franklin and Valeria. Can someone please tell me if it's Valeria or Valeria? I feel like both kind of sound... Never mind. I like Valeria. So he loves both of his kids and is constantly blown away by their powers and intelligence. He might not always act like a normal dad, but they know how much he cares and respects him very deeply. In the wider superhero world, Reed's got a ton of respect, especially among the big brains. His intellect makes him natural ally for other geniuses like Tony Stark, Bruce Banner, or T'Challa, and those who worked closely with him recognize both his brilliance and his dedication. For Reed Richards, no enemy looms larger than Victor Von Doom. The two go way back to their college days when Doom ran a dangerous experiment trying to contact the spirit world using tech. It blew up, literally, and left him scarred. Instead of owning the mistake, Doom blamed Reed, and that grudge has fueled his hatred ever since. Their rivalry has become the stuff of a legend. Two of the smartest minds on the planet constantly clashing, usually because Doom's pride just won't let go. While the Fantastic Four have taken on all kinds of villains as a group, there are a few who seem to have personal beef with Reed. The Wizard and the Mole Man are on that list, but the biggest tension comes from Namor, the Submariner. Namor's long-standing feelings for Sue Richards have created plenty of friction between him and Reed over the years. It's a complicated triangle that's popped up more than once. Sue, for her part, refuses to be treated like a prize to be fought over and has tried to get the two men to put their issues aside. Sometimes it works for a while, but the peace never seems to last. From the beginning of the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards has fought to keep his team and his family together through more than his share of personal and cosmic level changes. Early on, Reed crossed paths and swords with both Namor the Submariner and his old college rival, Victor Von Doom. After a few battles, he married Sue Storm in a wedding so big it drew both superhero and villains. Then, after helping drive Galactus off Earth, he and Sue welcomed their first child, Franklin. When Franklin's psychic powers started getting dangerously out of control, Reed made the heartbreaking decision to shut down his son's mind to protect him. That decision drove a wedge between him and Sue, who left the team for a while. Reed kept the Fantastic Four going with temporary fill-ins until she came back. He later lost his powers, got replaced by a version of himself from another reality, and eventually got his stretching abilities back after another dose of cosmic rays. Hoping for a more peaceful life, he and Sue bought a house in Connecticut to try and break from the superhero chaos. That break didn't last long, though. Reed was put on trial by a group of aliens who blamed him for Galactus's actions, but returned to Earth a free man, only to face heartbreak when their second child was stillborn. Things got worse between him and Ben Grimm when Ben found out Reed had known for a while that he could potentially switch back to his human form. That secret strained their friendship, and for a time, She-Hulk filled in for Ben on the team because Ben dipped. Trying to escape the drama, Reed and Sue briefly retired and lived under the aliases the Benjamins, but eventually rejoined the Fantastic Four after a short run with the Avengers. Around then, Reed also became part of a secret group of top-level geniuses known as the Illuminati, a move he kept hidden from his team and even Sue. Reed and Doom later seemed to die in a massive explosion, but were actually flung through time by a powerful being called Hyperstorm. When Reed finally returned, the Fantastic Four ended up living alternate lives on a world called Counter-Earth for over a year. Their family grew again when a future version of Franklin altered reality to bring back their stillborn daughter, now healthy and alive. In gratitude for Doom's help during the birth, Sue named her Valeria, which made things complicated, to say the least. Reed and Doom's rivalry escalated again when Doom horribly scarred Reed's face. This pushed Reed into a strange position, briefly ruling Latveria himself before realizing he was just becoming Doom. Around the same time Ben Grimm appeared to have died, the team lost their patents and wealth, and the Fantastic Four were forced to disband. That spiral only reversed when they visited what they believed was heaven and got Ben back, and even had Reed's face restored. They spent some time broke and trying to rebuild their reputation. During the superhero civil war, Reed sided with the government on the Superhuman Registration Act, while Sue, Johnny, and Ben joined Captain America's resistance. Reed did some ethically questionable things, like building a clone of Thor and designing a prison in the negative zone, but he and Sue eventually reconciled and stepped away from the Fantastic Four for a while again. Valeria's genius started to rival or even outpace Reed's, and around this time, the Illuminati secretly exiled the Hulk into space, only for him to come back furious. After the Skrull invasion and Norman Osborn's rise to power, the Illuminati were exposed during a battle over the Infinity Stones. Things got even darker when Johnny was believed dead in the negative zone. That loss pushed Reed to rethink everything and create the Future Foundation, a group focused on solving big picture problems for humanity. Reed briefly worked with a group of alternate versions of himself called the Council of Reeds, which is like the most narcissistic thing I've ever heard, but like, same. But stepped away when Johnny returned. He later faced a bizarre new villain called the Quiet Man and ultimately stopped him with the help from an old foe, Psycho Man. When multiverse-ending incursions began destroying entire realities, Reed helped build a life raft to save whoever he could. After their universe died, he woke up on Battleworld, a planet cobbled together by Doctor Doom using godlike power stolen from the Beyonders, with Sue now positioned as Doom's wife. Reed eventually teamed up with another version of himself and the Molecule Man to challenge Doom to take back reality. With that power in hand, Reed, Sue, Franklin, and Valeria went off to rebuild the multiverse, starting with recreating Earth. They even gave Victor Von Doom a fresh start as a hero. For a while, Ben and Johnny believed the Richards family was gone for good, but they were just working behind the scenes to fix everything. Now, the Fantastic Four is back, reunited, starting a new chapter, older, wiser, and still one of the strongest superhero families out there. And I am really, really digging them in One World Under Doom event right now. So if you haven't checked that out, you have to check that out. Reed Richards is someone I have never liked. I don't like him at all. But I think he is the closest we'll ever, as of now, get to having autistic representation in the Marvel Universe. Because it is said in a different universe, he says that he is very low on the spectrum, but he is on the spectrum. So I think Marvel should be leaning into that because you see what kind of character he is. He has all the characteristics of a person with autism. So I think they should lean into that. That it makes the most sense for the character, I think. So with that being said, I do have some comic books for you to check out to get to know Reed Richards a little better. Start all the way at the beginning with Fantastic Four number 1. Before the Fantastic Four, Reed Richards. Fantastic Four 1, 2, 3, 4, number 4. Fantastic Four number 48. Ultimate Fantastic Four number 1 through 6. Fantastic Four Full Circle. Secret Wars from 2015. FF number 1. Side note, the FF does not stand for Fantastic Four, but Future Foundation. Fantastic Four number 570 to 572. And Fantastic Four Life Story, which I am almost done reading right now, and it is phenomenal. So check that out. So that has been my breakdown of Reed Richards. Be sure to check out all my other breakdowns of the Fantastic Four members before we go to see Fantastic Four, The First Steps, next month. So with that being said, have a marvelous night.